Hello guys. So after the discussion of the commissural fibers, now we shall be discussing about the projection fibers. Okay. So what are the different kinds of projection fibers we have got? So we will have our discussion on the projection fibers. Now when it comes to the projection fibers, basically we have got two different types of projection fibers. Okay. So what are the two different types of projection fibers? What are these projection fibers are? From the cortex, there are some fibers that are going down to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, there are some fibers that are going up to the cortex. So only two types of projection fibers. Some are going down. So fibers which are going down are called descending fibers, or ascending fibers, descending fibers. I will draw the pictures, don't worry. Fibers which are going up are called as ascending fibers. So projection fibers are basically of two different types. Okay, what are these two different types? One is called as a sensory fibers. One is called as the sensory fibers. So what is the other name for the sensory fibers? They are ascending up. Sensations go to the brain or they come down here. They go to the brain, right? So ascending fibers. Sensations have to be taken up. So are also called as ascending fibers. So what is the other name for these ascending fibers over here? They are called as efferent fibers. Ascending fibers or efferent fibers. Right? So these are the three important things. So what are the three important things over here? That one group of fibers are called as a sensory fibers or ascending fibers or efferent fibers. Now let us look at the other group. The other group of fibers exactly opposite of this, opposite of sensory is motor. So the next group of fibers are your motor fibers. So what is the other name for the motor fibers? Ascending or descending here? We have got the descending fibers. Descending fibers. So what is the other name for the descending fibers here? Efferent or efferent? These are called as a efferent fibers. Efferent fibers. So if you anytime have a confusion between efferent and efferent, remember one thing: A stands for arriving, they are arriving to the brain. E stands for exiting, they are exiting out of the brain. Okay, so these are called as your efferent fibers. So there are two group of fibers like this. Now what we shall do is that I will draw only the motor fibers. The opposite of that will be the sensory fibers, right? So I will draw the fibers which are descending down. So for that, let me draw the cerebral cortex. Let us say that this part over here is your midbrain. This is your midbrain. Okay. Now after the midbrain, this particular structure you have got over here is your pons. After the pons, the next structure you have got over here is called as your medulla oblongata. Now what I am doing is that I am dividing the brainstem. What is brainstem? Brainstem is nothing but your midbrain, your pons, your medulla oblongata. Three of them together is called as a brainstem. Now I will divide this brainstem into two halves. When I divide this brainstem into two halves, what are the two important things you can see? This is the ventral part of the brainstem. This is the dorsal part of the brainstem. Yes or no? So I can tell that this part is a ventral part of the midbrain, this part is a ventral part of the pons, and this part is the ventral part of your medulla oblongata. Next important thing is that here exactly in the center you have got a structure, and this structure over here is called as your internal capsule. Now this particular cortex, whatever I have drawn here, this cortex is called as the motor cortex. Why are you calling it as motor cortex? Because the fibers which will exit down to the spinal cord and from there to your skeletal muscles are called as motor fibers. So how does this fiber start is that if you very clearly see here, you see there are a bundle of fibers in this way, right? You see many fibers. So all these fibers, you see all these fibers like this, all these fibers together, right? So all these fibers which you can see here, all these fibers in the form of radiations, you see, right? They are radiating, they are fanning out or they are fanning in, right? So these fanning out or fanning in fibers, whichever you can see over here, right? So all these fibers, they are diverging or they are converging according to my picture. They are converging inside, right? So all these fibers, they are meeting at a single point. You see, these fibers are converging into in the center. Okay, you see all these fibers are converging like this. So all these fibers are converging and they're forming a thick bundle here. And what will happen next is so this is your internal capsule like this is your internal capsule, and all these fibers, they come down all the way like this, right? And these fibers are passing through the ventral part of the midbrain. These fibers are passing down to the ventral part of the pons, and these fibers are passing down to the ventral part of your medulla oblongata, right? So all these fibers which are starting from the motor cortex, these fibers are in the form of corona radiata. Corona radiata. So these branching fibers which you can see, right, which are fanning out or fanning in. So this type of appearance of fibers which are fanning in, this appearance is called as corona radiata. So all these fibers are going down. So as all these fibers are going down, so these fibers over here are called as descending fibers. These are called as descending fibers. Okay. Next important thing is that these descending fibers, all of them, they converge. You see, all these descending fibers are converging. Where are they converging? They are converging and they are entering through which one? What is this? This is internal capsule. This is your internal capsule. I hope all of you know what is internal capsule. So all these fibers converge inside and they pass through the internal capsule, and they come down, through the ventral part of the midbrain or the dorsal part of the midbrain. Ventral part of the midbrain. And remember one thing, this ventral part of the midbrain, whatever you can see here, this is called as crus cerebri. This ventral part of the midbrain is nothing but called as your crus cerebri. From there, it will go to the ventral part of the pons. From there, it is going to the ventral part of the pons, and after that it goes to the ventral part of the medulla oblongata. And tell me, what is the ventral part of the medulla oblongata called? If you remember the lecture on medulla oblongata, ventral part of the medulla oblongata is called as the pyramids. Pyramids of medulla oblongata, right? So if you remember this picture, we have discussed this is medulla oblongata, right? So in this medulla oblongata, we have discussed structures in this way. Yes or no? So these structures, this is the ventral part of the medulla oblongata. This ventral part of the medulla oblongata, these two are called as pyramids. How many pyramids are there here? We have got 1 and 2 pyramids. So pyramids of medulla oblongata. From the cortex, they go to the crus cerebri. From the crus cerebri to the ventral pons, then the pyramids of medulla oblongata. And from here, obviously, all these fibers, they relay on the lower motor neurons, and from here they supply your muscle. Which muscle? Skeletal muscle, right? So these are nothing but called as your motor fibers or descending fibers. We will discuss in detail what are descending and what are ascending, but for now what you need to know that these fibers are called as descending fibers. And next, in the same way, for example, when I am touching my skin, you see, immediately I can know the sensation. You feel as if you are able to know the sensation here, but no, the sensations are known in the cerebral cortex. When I'm touching like this, you feel that I have touched you here. Let us say I'm pricking here, right? So that is a pain sensation which you can feel. Yes or no? Actually, who is telling that someone has touched your wrist? It is your cerebral cortex. The moment you touch, before you feel that someone has touched this part, the impulse has already reached your cerebral cortex, and cerebral cortex is already intimating you that there is a touch sensation on your wrist, right? So those fibers which are taking up the information there are called as ascending fibers. So these are the ascending fibers. So they are taking sensory information, so that is why they are also called as sensory fibers. Next, the fibers which I have drawn right now, these fibers are called as descending fibers or motor fibers. What are the list of ascending fibers? What are the list of descending fibers? We will discuss. But before that, there are few important things we need to understand. What are these things are? What do you mean by a tract? Or what do you mean by a fasciculus? So regarding what is tract and what is fasciculus, very detailedly I have told you in the starting lectures, okay, starting lectures of neuroanatomy. So there I have told you what is called as a tract, what is called as a fasciculus, okay, right. So there are two types of tracts. So what are these? Tracts are nothing but called as a bundle of nerve fibers. You see, is this a single nerve? No, a bundle of nerves are joining, I mean they are converging, and this bundle is passing through the internal capsule and bundle is coming down. This is not a single nerve fiber, right? This is not a single axon, a bundle of axons, right? So these bundle of axons are nothing but called as a tract. So how many tracts are there? There are two different types of tracts. Some tracts go up taking the sensations, so can I call them as sensory tracts? So they are called as sensory tracts. Whereas some tracts descend down to your muscles and contract the muscles, these are called as motor tracts. Motor tracts. So what are the different types of tracts we have got? We have got sensory tracts, we have got another thing called as a motor tracts. So let us just write down, for the notes purpose, let us just write down what is the definition of a tract. Tract is nothing but a bundle of fibers. What fibers? Bundle of nerve fibers. Bundle of nerve fibers, or you can also call it as axons. Bundle of nerve fibers or axons that are having similar origin. I will also explain you what is this. Similar course and similar termination. And also similar function. Okay. So these bundle of nerve fibers are also called as your are nothing but called as your tracts or fasciculus. And where are they present? They are present within the white matter of spinal cord. Okay. You know, spinal cord is got central gray matter surrounding white matter. Yes or no? Spinal cord has got central gray matter surrounding white matter. You know, you remember this, that we discussed about cerebral hemispheres, cerebrum, right? We also discussed about cerebellum, cerebrum and cerebellum, right? You know, in cerebrum and cerebellum, if you see outer, what do you have? Outer and inner. Outer in the sense the cortical region. Outer you have got what? Outer you have got gray matter, and inner you have got white matter. Inner you have got white matter. This law applies for both cerebrum and cerebellum. But when you come to brainstem, what do you mean by brainstem? Brainstem is nothing but your pons, your medulla oblongata, your midbrain. Okay. Now don't confuse. Actually, the midbrain I'll put it here. Okay. So midbrain, pons as well as medulla oblongata. These three of them together, you call it as a brainstem. Now in these three, if you see, what is the structure that is present outside? Outer as well as inner. So outer, what do you have? Here outer you don't have gray matter. Here outer you have got white matter, and inner you have got gray matter. Okay. But when it comes to pons, it is different. Okay. Pons is a mixture of white and gray matter. So I don't want to differentiate very clearly here, and even spinal cord here. Spinal cord is also having an outer white matter and inner gray matter. Okay. But pons, again I am telling you, it is a mixture of white and gray matter. So if you want to understand this, I have already recorded that. Please watch that video. So that is what I was telling you, that bundle of nerve fibers or axons are origins similar to the course. Similar origin, termination, everything is similar, and they are passing where? They will pass through where? They will pass through the white matter or the gray matter. They will pass through the white matter of spinal cord. They will pass through the white matter of spinal cord. Okay. So this is what is called as your tract or fasciculus. I will explain you clearly. Or else if you already know, that is good. For example, one important tract I am telling you. Let us say, for example, I'll take a lighter, right? I lit the lighter and put it under my hand. Now I will, the sensation, whatever I'm feeling it, is it a cold sensation? No. Is it a pain sensation? No. It is a temperature sensation, right? Now, when I'm pinching this area, whatever you can feel is a pain sensation. So, pain and temperature specifically are taken up by some tracks that are going all the way, some bundle of fibers, they go all the way from here to the spinal cord and from there to the brain. So, these bundle of fibers which are going up, these are called as lateral spinothalamic tract. We will discuss that in detail. So, this lateral spinothalamic tract which is taking the bundle of nerve fibers, these bundle of fibers, right, they are nothing but called as your tract or fasciculus. Okay, as they are taking the information, so I have to call them as sensory tracts. Clear? In the same way, for example, let us say you are sitting in front of a laptop or whatever it is. Now you type with your hands like this, or you type with your fingers. You type with your fingers. So these fine movements, fine tuned movements, whatever are there, these movements, or let us say you are playing a piano, right? So these fine movements of fingers, whatever is happening, it is because of the sensation, or it is because of the motor activity. It is because of the motor activity. So in the brain you decided that you have to play. In the brain already you have a picture of all the keys and how to work and all, what are the letters, which letter I have to type first, which letter I have to type last, right? So from the brain, from the cortex, all the fibers, they join together in the form of a corona radiata like this, right? They pass through the internal capsule, they are coming down, and from there these fibers come down to the spinal cord. From there these fibers are entering into your hand and contract your muscles, and that is how you are doing this. So these fibers which are coming from the cortex down to the spinal cord and then to the hand, can I call these fibers are corticospinal fibers, right? But what did I tell you? Bundle of fibers are called as tract. So you have to call this tract as corticospinal tract. Okay, but anyways, we will discuss in much more detail about that. Now next important thing is that what one definition you understood is what is tract or fasciculus, right? So if you want much more clear way to understand, look at this picture. This is your spinal cord. This is your spinal cord, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is that if this is your spinal cord, right? See, this is another section of spinal cord. This is another section of spinal cord. Now look what is happening. Bundle of nerve fibers, in the sense these are the fibers. See, these are the bundle of fibers. They are passing through white matter or gray matter. See, center here you have got gray matter, outside is a white matter. What did I tell you here? They pass through the white matter of the spinal cord, right? So look here, these bundle of fibers, you see, they are passing up through the white matter. You see, it has made an opening in the white matter, and these fibers are passing through the white matter, and from here now you understood how these bundles are passing, right? So these bundle of fibers, they are passing in this way. They are mainly focusing on the white matter. Now let me draw another bundle. Okay, so let us say these are the bundle of fibers like this. You see how this bundle of fibers are passing? They are passing to the white matter only, but is only a single fiber passing, or bundle of axons or bundle of nerve fibers are passing? Bundle of axons, which are also called as bundle of nerve fibers, they are passing. So this entire thing over here, right? So this entire thing over here is what is called as a tract, or you can also call it as a fasciculus. Fasciculus. Now this pink color one, as it is passing laterally, so that is why it is called as lateral spinothalamic tract. Why it is called lateral? Because it is in the lateral funiculus. If you watch my lecture on spinal cord, you will understand better that this part of the funiculus is called as anterior funiculus, right? This part of the funiculus over here is called as a posterior funiculus, and this part of the funiculus over here is called as a lateral funiculus. So this pink color fibers are passing through the lateral funiculus. So I call these pink color fibers as lateral, and from the spinal cord they are passing up. So spino, till where they will pass? They will pass till the thalamus. From the thalamus to the cortex. So spinothalamic tract. You see, lateral spinothalamic tract. In the same way, for example, if I am drawing a bundle of fibers in from the anterior side which they are passing. You see, this is the anterior funiculus. These bundle of blue color fibers are passing through the anterior side. So can I call this as anterior spinothalamic tract, right? So how many spinothalamic tracts we have got? We have got two, lateral and anterior. Should I remember that right now? No need to remember. Just I wanted to tell you what is a tract and what is a fasciculus, right? So both of them share the same definition. Now next important other name is fasciculus. Next important one is, what is peripheral nerve? What is a peripheral nerve? From where does these peripheral nerves arise? These peripheral nerves, they arise from the brain and spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord. Okay, what do you mean by peripheral nerves arising from the brain and spinal cord? So first of all, let me write down the definition. Peripheral nerves are nothing but these are also bundle of nerve fibers, but they are present outside the central nervous system. Bundle of axons or nerve fibers. They tract is also called as bundle of axons or nerve fibers. Nerve fibers outside the central nervous system. Okay, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that is that, for example, let us say this is your cortex. Let us say this part is your midbrain. Okay, next you have got your pons. Next you have got your medulla oblongata, like this. Brainstem is the one you have got some nuclei over here. These nuclei are called as cranial nerve nuclei. All of you know that, right? Now, even in the spinal cord. Now, all of you just focus on whatever I'm trying to tell you. From the cortex, I told you in the form of fanning in, right? You see all the fibers are fanning in like this. Yes or no? So bundle of fibers, they fan in, and this is what is called as your what? What is this part called as? This part is called as your internal capsule. Now from this bundle of fibers are passing ventrally. Ventrally they come down, they come down, they come down, and here these bundle of fibers are relaying on specific group of neurons like this. You see, right? Now what is the fate of these neurons? Where are these neurons going? Are these neurons present, these pink color neurons present within the spinal cord, or going away from the spinal cord? They are going away from the spinal cord, right? And where are they going? Actually, they are entering your muscle. They are actually entering into your muscle. So these fibers which are going away from the spinal cord, see, bundle of axons or nerve fibers outside the central nervous system. So this entire thing is your central nervous system, and these pink color fibers are going away from the central nervous system. So should I call these fibers as tract or fascicle, or should I call them as peripheral nerve? I have to call them as peripheral nerve. Peripheral nerve. So these fibers over here are called as your peripheral nerve. Okay, so these fibers are called peripheral nerve. Now, okay, these are the fibers that are coming out of the spinal cord. Then what about the brain? Brain in the sense your brainstem, right? So from here also you see nerve, cranial nerve nuclei that are going out like this, right? So some of them supply your eyes, some of them supply to your nose. Let us say some of them supply to your face like this, right? So they are even supplying to your structures of the body, right? So these cranial nerve nuclei from where the fibers are going out, these are also called as peripheral nerves. Okay, so we have got two important things, brain and spinal cord. So peripheral nerves, they originate from the brain and spinal cord. Okay, right. Next important definition I've told you here is that these nerve fibers or axons are having similar origin, course, terminal and function. See, similar origin in the sense all of them are originating from where? From the motor cortex. You see, all of them are originating from the motor cortex. Okay, so let me draw like this. Some random pictures I'm drawing here. Okay, don't confuse why the red, why the pink is crossing the green and all. Just don't bother about that. So all these are the bundle of nerve fibers. All these fibers, you see, all of them are, the origin point of all of them is same. So first important thing is similar origin, similar course. So all of them are passing down only, right? So all these green color fibers, they are passing down. So it means all of them course is different. Termination, all of them are ending at a single point. So similar termination and all of them will have a same function obviously, because the entire lateral spinothalamic tract will have only one function. What is that? Pain and temperature sensation. Pain and temperature sensation. It will not take the action of vibration, proprioception, all these things. So lateral spinothalamic tract takes only one thing, pain and temperature. That's it. Okay. So this is the thing. So now let us write down what is the list. I told you there are two different types of fibers, sensory as well as motor, right? So what are the two? One is called as the motor tract, which you also call it as the fasciculus. Next important thing is your sensory tract. Sensory tract, okay, or fasciculus. Yeah, fasciculus. Sensory tract or fasciculus, whatever it is, ascending or descending, both of them are called as fasciculus, right? Now, what are the motor fibers? The first important motor fiber, all the motor fibers, tell me, they start in the cortex and they go down, or they start in the body parts and then they go up? All the motor fibers, they come down, they start from the cortex. All the names also will be like cortico. So the first important fibers. So first important fiber, before I draw these fibers, how many? So before I draw these fibers, let me just name, okay, let me just put the numbers over here, and then I will draw a picture and then explain you these fibers, okay? So first, what is this? Midbrain. This one is pons, and this is your medulla oblongata, okay? Midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, right? Now, one very important thing you need to know, that within the midbrain we have got a nucleus which is red in color. Yes, there is a nucleus which is red in color. This is called as nucleus rubar, okay? Nucleus rubar. So, or you can also call it as a red nucleus of the midbrain. So this nucleus is called as a red nucleus. This nucleus is called red nucleus. In the same way, we even have got a nucleus within the pons. Obviously, the nucleus which is located in the pons is called pontine nuclei. So this nuclei over here is called as your pontine nuclei. Pontine nuclei. In the same way, we even have got nucleus within your midbrain. Medulla oblongata. We even have nucleus within your spinal cord. Okay. Now look at the fibers. Now the first important fiber. The first important fiber, obviously it starts from the cortex. I am drawing only one. Okay. Let me tell you. This comes all the way down. And it enters the red nucleus. Right. Now actually, how is this fiber entering? Is that I told you. So in the form of a corona radiata, all these fibers, they merge together, and here there is internal capsule. From the internal capsule, bundle of fibers go end in the red nucleus. I cannot draw all these pictures for each and every fiber. So that is why what I have simply done is that I have just drawn a single line. Okay, so I have just drawn a single line to explain this fiber. See, one single line which explains the fiber. Okay, so this is a fiber that is going and finally ending in where? Red nucleus. And by the way, all of them, they cross the internal capsule, obviously, you know that, right? So this fiber which is starting all the way from the cortex to the red nucleus, this fiber over here is called as cortico rubral tract. Why rubral? Because it is red. Okay, so the first important fiber is cortico-rubral tract. Okay. Next important fiber. The next fiber is, it will also start from the cortex. It goes all the way down and ends in the pons. Now tell me, what is this? Cortico-pontine fiber. Okay. So this tract over here is called as cortico-pontine tract. Clear? Next important thing is that let us say this black color fiber going all the way down and touching this nucleus in the medulla oblongata. So this is called as corticonuclear tract. Corticonuclear tract. Corticonuclear tract. Next important thing. The next important one is this blue color fiber going all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, entering into the medulla oblongata and finally touching the nucleus in the spinal cord. So this is called as cortex to spinal cord, so corticospinal tract. Corticospinal tract. What is the other name for corticospinal tract? It is also called as your pyramidal tract. Pyramidal tract. So what are the different types of tracts we have discussed? We have discussed one is called as your cortico-rubral tract, cortex to the red nucleus, corticopontine tract, corticonuclear tract, corticospinal tract or your pyramidal tract. So these are the nerve fibers which we have discussed here. And by the way, all these nerve fibers, they originate as corona radiata, they pass through the internal capsule and they come like this. You know this now, right? So you know this now, right? The next important type of fibers which we shall be discussing right now is your ascending fibers or the fibers which are coming from the spinal cord up to the cortex, okay? Right. So what are these ascending fibers? Ascending fibers are taking the sensations or taking the motor impulses. They are taking the sensations. So these are also called as sensory tracts. Sensory tracts, or you can also call them as ascending tracts. Or you can also call them as fasciculi. Okay, let us not confuse by using all these terms. Fasciculus, you already know it, right? Ascending tracts or sensory tracts. The first important tract is tractus gracilis. If you have attended my lecture on midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, there I have discussed nucleus of tractus gracilis and nucleus of tractus cuneatus. So if you understood those terms there itself, here this will be very easy for you. So this tract you would understand by now. So that is your tractus gracilis. One is called as tractus gracilis. Second important one is called as tractus funiculus. Tractus funiculus. Third important thing over here is lateral lemniscus. Lateral lemniscus. Fourth important thing is lateral spinothalamic tract. I just now given you an example, right? Lateral spinothalamic tract. So lateral spinothalamic tract. After the lateral spinothalamic tract, you have even got trigeminal lemniscus. Trigeminal lemniscus. And sixth important thing is medial lemniscus. Medial lemniscus. Okay. So these things, whatever you have studied right now, these are called as your sensory tracts. What are the sensory tracts? Tractus gracilis, right? So the functions of this you will study in physiology, but still I will discuss this anyhow. Next you have got tractus lemniscus, lateral spinothalamic tract, trigeminal lemniscus and medial lemniscus, right? So these are what sensory tracts which take the sensations from the spinal cord to the cortex. And what are these motor tracts which bring the motor information from the cortex down to the spinal cord, okay? So what are the things we have just discussed, guys? We have discussed about the split brain syndrome. We have discussed about the projection fibers. In projection fibers, I told you sensory or motor fibers. Sensory fibers are ascending, motor fibers are descending, right? So I hope this is very clear for you regarding the projection fibers. So thank you so much for watching my video. Goodbye.